We're talking to Dr. LMadu2, and the issue is democracy in Nigeria. And of course, Dr. LMadu2, we promised that we'd give you an opportunity to speak to the issue of the upcoming election in Nigeria and some of the problems that are generally associated with that. And let's have you to do that now.
Well, like I stated initially, the president hasn't said he's running, and he hasn't said he's not running. But some members of the Nigerian Senate are trying to amend the constitution to allow the president to stay in power for under 4 years. And of course, what does that do? The governors themselves in all the 36 states will also extend their mandate for under 4 years. As the situation stands now, majority of Nigerians are against this, this 4-year term extension, both for the president and the governor.
As well as the governor.
As well as the governors. Most Nigerians really think the governors themselves want to extend their own tenure so they can use that opportunity to cover their tracks for some, of the corrupt and criminal activities a lot of them have been engaged in which Mr. Obasanjo himself have been trying to stamp out, So that's very cynical. Nigerians are tired at the moment, of having political opportunists who do not have their interests in mind, trying to extend their terms in order, to stifle the people's democratic aspirations. You have about 3 major political parties in the country now. You have the PDP, the ANPP, and the APGA, who are the 3 predominant parties, each of them representing one or, part of the country or the other. The APGA is predominant in the east, the ANPP is predominant in the north, the PDP is supposed to be a national party, but it's a party that is riddled with corruption. So many of its leaders, have been removed from their jobs in the past few months. Some have ended up in prison. One of the governors was arrested in London in September. They found $1 million in his bedroom, $2 million, $2.5 million gold ring, $10 million in the bank in London, and half of his people can't even feed themselves, can't even go to school, don't have drinking water, don't have electricity, and somebody's gallivanting around the world, with stolen loot.
And so you think that this is general, that many of the governors are involved in that kind of activity as well as the president?
Absolutely. That's what President Obasanjo is trying to stamp out, but it's very difficult. It's been entrenched for long. Yes, most of the governors, at least half of the governors, are involved in some of these activities of plundering, the wealth of their different states. Some of them who came in with nothing, overnight in 4 years, they are millionaires, multi-millionaires, have houses all over the world, including the United States, and people are wondering, how can you be so rich overnight when you didn't have anything when you get in there? And that's been the problem. Most of them have refused to declare their assets. Something as simple as that, they won't do that.
They don't want to say how much they are worth or how much they...
Absolutely. Nigerians have been asking them, from the president to all the governors, to declare your assets so we know what you came in with and what you're living with. None of them will want to do that. You have governors still running their businesses while they're governors. Yes.
Well, now, this is Nigeria, Dr. LMadu2, as you well know, is not a poor state in terms of resources. Because Nigeria, I understand that this is the 2nd largest oil situation as far as the United States is concerned. That they've got a lot of oil there, and a lot of other things. And so when we talk about pillaging the state, we're talking about folks who, as you indicated, getting away with a lot of money, and there's nothing that can be done about it.
Absolutely, and that's the problem. This is a country that is the 5th largest exporter of oil to the United States and the 8th largest producer of oil in the world, with enough money to take care of everybody in the country. But the problem is that the country is plundered by those who did it. For example, we had the chief of police in the country. They call him the Inspector General of Police. This man stole almost half of the country's police budget. And what did he get for it? 6 months in prison. Almost over $100 million he stole. How can the police do their job? What do? The police people are not paid for 6 months. They set up roadblocks everywhere to harass people, to get what they are due.
What do you do with? I mean, when you end up with $2 million, $7 million of the public's money, what do you do with that money? I mean, how do you? I mean, what do you invest that money? I mean, what do you do with that? I mean, how do you dispose of use that kind of money?
There's supposedly the regulation in the country is that if you're a governor, you are not supposed to have a bank account overseas. All the governors have bank accounts overseas. The vice president of the country has a $5 million house in Maryland. Okay? Yes, has a $5 million house in Maryland. A few months ago, the FBI went to that house to search it for some illegal activities. Most of the governors have homes overseas, in London, in Berlin, all over. Why can't they invest in their own country? That's a good question. Yes. Why should a governor have houses in this country and want you to come and invest in his state? Now, if his state is so good to invest in, he should build a house over there. Doesn't it make sense? Okay. Now, the loot that is plundered and sent overseas, whom does it benefit? The banks where it is stored over here, not in the country. Why can't they invest the money over there in the country that they stole? No, because they are worried that when they're overthrown, people will want to get that money back. So what do? They come here and put the money. So what some of us have been advocating is this. A, the State Department should start denying visas to those governors who either have been proven to be guilty of corruption or there's perception amongst the people that they've been stealing money until they prove otherwise. Yeah, because what happens? If the State Department starts denying them visas to come here, and they and their families, the British government will follow suit, and most European Union countries will do the same. So that if they have to loot that money, they won't come here to put it. Okay, that will help a lot. And the State Department is listening to some of those requests now. That will be one way of stopping it. There's a governor, one governor in Nigeria, he comes to this country almost 13, 14 times a year. How does he sit in the country to govern his state? You tell me. Every month he's here for medical treatment. Every month he's in Washington for medical treatment. Fine. If you are so sick, what do you do if you're a governor? You build a good hospital for yourself. Does it make common sense? No, they won't do that. They have enough money to do that. Okay, but they can fly out of the country, take care of their children and their family, and the poor person in the country can't even buy a bottle of Tylenol.
Very good. And of course, Dr. Madu, let us take this second commercial break, after which we'll come back and allow you to continue this, as well as to give us some direction in terms of where we ought to go from here. And of course, we'll be back with our audience following this short commercial break. We're talking to Dr. Leonard